Let's continue reading. What an excellent worship of our Father it is. Isn't our house so wonderful? What a loving, tender care He has for His children. The first home that our Father made for us was not as it is today, dark, dreary, and filthy, into which, because of roof, the sky collapsed, rain and snow poured down. It was always new, bright, sunny, mild, and comfortable, because there were no snowstorms or rainstorms. Beautiful flowers never faded, and not a leaf from the tree fell to the ground. You know, when our real daddy first made us this home, it was not like this. Right now, our roof has collapsed. That's why rain and snow leaks. And the walls are collapsed. That's why all this wind is blowing throughout our house, blowing things away. And there's all these demons going around this whole universe. Yes, we are dragged to like a haunted house. The house that we originally lived in, because the roof was in one piece, it did not rain or snow. And there's no such thing as flowers or trees getting old, and petals falling, and leaves falling. And no one ever knew what it meant to become sick or old. Right now, we have been dragged to the demon's house. And then, how beautiful was our home, original home? Let's read. There were no tears, no pain, no sorrow, no sigh, and no sounds of mourning over death of family members. It was a home in which no shadow of sorrow could be found. Instead, it was always full of joy and happiness, immortal life, unceasing pleasure, cheerful smiles, and songs of praise. This beautiful world was not always a haunt of horrible demons where thieves swarm like they do today. Neither burglars, murderers, nor even mischievous boys who mimic thieves were found there. Lions and deer, wolves and lambs, all sorts of animals and birds lived together. Neither the sound of roaring, nor even a breath of fury or anger were heard there. They were all one family, loving and helping, playing together in peace, joy, and love. Yes, we were truly happy in our home. The horrible home we are living in now, it's so scary. People kill people, and they even slice them up. And they take those pieces and put them in bags. Ah, the world we live in is truly a fearful hell. I hope you will know that. The hell is nowhere else but on this earth right now. I hope that you will leave this hell and go to our Father's country. It is not people who are living in this world. How can people kill someone else, cut them up, and throw them into the bag, and then burn it? They even carry that bag around. This is a very scary world we live in. Let's read what happened to our beautiful home. Oh, what a beautiful home it was. But now, where has it disappeared to? Why must we live in this terrible home? It has become so horrible that daily events of terror make us doubt what we see and hear, trembling with surprise and fear. Why has it become like this? Before we search for the reason, let us take a look at the first home our Father made for us with His own hands in devotion and love. After God had created the heavens and the earth, on the earth He planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there He put the man whom He had formed. And out of the ground the Lord God made to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. A river of life went out from Eden to water the garden, and from there it parted and became 4 riverheads. The name of the first is Pishon. He is the one which encompasses the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. Bdellium and onyx stone are there. The name of the second, the third, the fourth. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to tend it and keep it. And indeed it was very good. And above all, God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. The original home our Daddy had made for us, there was no such thing as falling petals or falling leaves. And there was never anyone who killed another person or even cursed other people. And animals didn't fight with one another. And in the middle of this garden, this earth, there was a tree of life. And those who eat the fruit of that tree would live forever. And from the leaves were healing for the nations. And below the tree of life, there was 4 rivers. And these 4 rivers went north, south, and east, west to the ends of this earth. And anyone who drank that water, even a cup, would live forever. Will you believe this fact? He said He gave it to us like this. We must believe Him. If we don't believe Him, then we become like all those false doctors in the world. I hope that you will believe Him. Then, if this is not true, then the earth we live on, and the food that we eat, is it for real? Yes. If everything you ate and the ground you step on is for real, then this is real also. Our real Daddy, who never lies, not even once, must be trusted in. So even if we drank a cup of that water of life, and if we drank that cup of water, we would all live. This water went through all 4 corners of this earth. Then why? Why did He allow this water to flow like that? Why didn't our real Daddy put it in a bottle and sell it? Why does He just let the water continue to flow? Isn't it a waste? Yes, it's a waste. But why did He do that? You know, there are many animals, like the deer or rabbit, that come to drink that water. And that deer and that rabbit, they do not die and they live forever. Or bugs and insects, if they drink a drop of that water, they will not die. And nowadays bees, they will fly and then all of a sudden they will die. You know, in our original home, bees never died. So the rivers go to streams which break the creeks. And they break and cover this whole earth. This whole earth was covered with this water of life. And every single plant, tree, animal, and man, they never became old and they never died. And this whole earth lived forever. That's why on our original home, even puppy dogs and insects and birds live forever. And now that the owners of this earth, they die, believing in Jesus. Is that a Jesus or not? That is a false Jesus. Even dogs will live forever. Even insects will live forever. Then how is it the owners of this home believe in Jesus and still not be able to gain eternal life? Is that Jesus in the world? Is it Jesus in the world who cannot even give eternal life? That is a demon. Will you admit it? I have to do kick this demon away and return to our true husband, the real Jesus. And hope you will live eternally. God does not lie. He can never lie. Someone must live in that country, and people must fill that number. On the way to Mount Sorak Mountain, there's a famous spring, Osek Spring. Oh, maybe this water has 5 different colors and it'll taste good and I'll live forever. And that was at the end of a seminar once and I was very tired. So I followed them. And there were so many people. They were all standing in line to get a drink of that water. I stood there for 2 hours and people were fighting. You cut in line and they were fighting and arguing and finally I got a cup of water. And when I looked at the water, I thought it would be really special. But it's clear. And I drank it. But it wasn't good. And people said it's good, so I forced myself to drink it. And after I drank that, I had a bad case of diarrhea. I really was disappointed with this world. People say that this mineral water is so good, but how can disappoint me like this and cause my insides to become overturned like this? It made me think of our original home. You know, this world right now, there's nothing for us to eat or drink. We can eat all the fruits of this earth, and yet we will not gain even the slightest bit of energy. We must return back to our original home, the home at which our real daddy prepared for me. Let's continue. As the earth came forth from the hand of its maker, it was exceedingly beautiful. Its surface was diversified with mountains, hills, and plains, interspersed with noble rivers and lovely lakes. But the hills and mountains were not abrupt and rugged, abounding in terrific steeps and frightful chasms as they do now. The sharp, jagged edges of the earth's rocky framework were buried beneath fruitful soil, producing a luxuriant growth of verdure everywhere. There were no loathsome swamps or barren deserts. Graceful shrubs and delicate flowers greeted the eye at every turn. The heights were crowned with trees more majestic than any that now exist. The air, untainted by foul miasma, was clear and healthful. The entire landscape outvied in beauty the decorated grounds of the proudest palace. The angelic host viewed the scene with delight and rejoiced at the wonderful works of God. Our original home, which our daddy made for us, there was no swamps or deserts. No matter where you looked on this earth, there was no place that was dark or dreary. And we could not see any rocks like we do today, because these rocks is the bones of this earth. But look at the earth now. We can see big rocks sticking out here and there. You can imagine, this earth, it was as if it got into a big car accident. Because Adam, who was a driver, drove improperly and crashed. And at the river of life, there were not rocks or stones, but jewels all throughout the river. And these son and daughter gods would drink the water of life, eat the fruit of life, and enjoy one another's company. That's the way we used to live. There were no rocks. But look at now. All those jewels disappeared. And instead, all these bones are sticking out throughout this earth. And people, when they accidentally fall and bang their head on a rock, they will die. And this earth was really more beautiful than any palace ground or garden. There's nothing to compare this earth to. Oh, it's so amazing. There's nothing to compare this earth to. As is written here, even angels who came down to look at this earth, they saw this earth and they viewed the scene with delight. They rejoiced at the wonderful works of God. They were amazed. They were shocked. Even angels who came from heaven, they looked at this earth and they said, wow. Our real Father made such a wonderful home for these youngest children. When it says that they viewed the scene with delight, we can't express that delight with human language. The angels came down from heaven. They saw this earth and they saw how beautiful it was. And there's no way to express their amazement. And this was the home which our daddy originally made for us. Let's continue reading. As Adam came forth from the hand of his creator, from the womb of his father, he was of lofty stature and perfect symmetry. His countenance bore the ruddy tint of health and glowed with the light of life and joy. Adam's height was much greater than that of men who now inhabit the earth. Eve was somewhat less in stature, yet her form was noble and full of beauty. The sinless pair wore no artificial garments. They were clothed with a covering of light and glory such as angels wear. So long as they lived in obedience to God, this robe of light continued to enshroud them. Everything that God had made was the perfection of beauty, and nothing seemed wanting that could contribute to the happiness of the holy pair. Adam and Eve were white-skinned, pale-skinned, dark-skinned, Orientals. They were neither white, yellow, black, but it says their face bore the ruddy tint of health. It was pinkish. Why? Because they were healthy. I told you yesterday, we are eating the food of pigs. We are eating the food of animals. We're eating the food of birds. And that's why we have become so short. It's a miracle that we are even breathing and alive. And every time they have a Miss Korea or Miss Universe, they pick all these dwarves and they put all this makeup on them and they say, oh, first place, second place, third place. It really hurts me inside. If you want to see handsome men and beautiful women, then you must look at Mr. Eden and Miss Eden. When our grandmother and grandfathers here become Mr. Eden, Miss Edens, they will truly be a sight to see. So, they will be about 7 meters high. And they loved each other and lived happily in the garden. You know, if we want to have love life, if we want to have love with one another, we should not do it on this dirty, dark earth. But I hope that you are smart. Why do you want to have a love life here on this dreary earth? You know, even I tell my children, you know, when they were little, I said, all three of you come here. You know, you don't like to hear when your father tells you what to do, right? Yes, I know. But shortly when we go to heaven, once we go to heaven, I will not tell you what to do. And I don't care where you go, however you know, wherever you go. So while we're on this earth, just listen to your father. And then when you go to heaven, I will never tell you what to do ever again. And they seem so happy because they'll be free. And they have obeyed me up to now. But it's the same for all of you. You know, once we go to heaven, I will never nag you or say anything to you. So even if you want to hold hands with someone or kiss someone, I won't say one word. I hope that you just listen to me and live beautifully on this earth. I hope that you go to a beautiful place like that and live there. Do not just live in a place like here. Will you do that? And so, they bore the ruddy tint of health and glowed with the light of life and joy. And they didn't even sleep. Why? Because they were so filled with energy and vitality. But look at us. We have not eaten of the fruit of life or drank of the river of life. And so that's why Americans and other Westerns have become pale and white. And we become yellow. And dark people in Africa, they become dark-skinned. That's why, what does it say in the Bible? It says we should have mercy. We should be merciful to one another. You know, when we go to heaven, there will be no such thing as black, white, red, yellow, oriental. We'll all become very, very tall. And as princes and princesses of heaven, we'll walk through this paradise and we'll live together forever. But it says here, the sinless pair wore no artificial garments. Then, who made those garments? Who made those garments? If it was not made for man, then it was made by their real father, and they lived with the clothes that their father made for them. Who made your clothes? People? Oh, what company? That exactly is the fig leaves. This is from plants, isn't it? This is to cover our shame and disgrace, but of course it doesn't. Even it's from the most famous company which makes clothes, it cannot cover the shame and disgrace of our characters. Soon when we go to heaven, He will take off all of our fig leaves and we will not wear artificial garments, but I hope that we will all wear the clothes which our real daddy gives to us. Now what clothes was that? Which company? Which company made the cloth of that fabric? What fabric is it? It's a fabric of light. And light never becomes dirty. It's always new and fresh. If there is light yesterday, if the sun shines yesterday, then when it shines today, is it dirty and must be cleaned? No, the light is always eternal, always new, always refreshing. And that's why with that light as a fabric, because his daughters are shorter, it's a little bit smaller. And because Adam, his sons are tall, he makes it a little bigger. And He makes one for each one of us. So not only do the angels wear that, but our Father Himself wears robes of light, and we also wear those robes of light. And we will never have to do laundry ever again. Even though the world has gotten better, still, it's difficult to live. You know, when the family comes home, they all take off their clothes, and the mother has to wash all the clothes. So to our mothers, be a little more patient. If you just do not leave our real Father and live in His arms, in a couple days, you will not have to do any more laundry. And you will be able to live happily without doing any laundry. So shortly, those who ridiculed you and made fun of you, when we ascend to heaven, it's written that they will not even be able to look at you. Why? Because all our fig leaves will be taken off of us, and He will clothe us in robes of light, and so they can't bear to see us. And when the sinners try and chase after us, they can't even look at us or follow us because of light. And it's written that some people have already they are wearing the robe of light, which will be their covering, and they will wear those robes of character forever. Should I show you those robes? Let me show you a robe. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem, there was a star which guided the kings of the Orient. Right? Anyway, there was an angel. It wasn't a star, but it was angel. And the light from their robes looked like a star. They came down to congratulate this earth. For the Son of God has come down to you. They came down this earth to show glad tidings. But all of God's people, they were all falling to demon. And there is no one who was there to listen and accept the message of the angels. And it's supposed to be like that in the last days when Jesus comes again. So it was not just a star, but it was the light shining from the angels. And soon we will wear those robes. And when we wear those robes, we will fly to this star and that star. And at that time, he said, "Oh, let's go on a date to that star." Oh, everyone will say, "Oh no, look, they're going again." And how wonderful it will look. I hope you will live like that. Let's continue reading. The sinless pair wore no artificial garments. They were clothed with the covering of light and glory such as the angels wear. So long as they lived in obedience to God, this robe of light continued to enshroud them. Everything that God had made was a perfection of beauty, and nothing seemed wanting that could contribute to the happiness of the holy pair. Yet the Creator gave them still another token of His love by preparing a garden Eden, especially for their home. A portion of their time was to be occupied in the happy employment of dressing the garden, and a portion in receiving the visits of angels, listening to their instruction, and in happy meditation. Their labor was not wearisome, but pleasant and invigorating. This beautiful garden was to be their home, their special residence. So, what is it that we were supposed to do? Did they have a business and run a supermarket? No, it says it was like farming. They lived in the countryside. So let's not live in the sinful city anymore, but let's move out to the countryside. Let's continue reading. In this garden, the Lord placed fruit trees of every description for usefulness and beauty. Also lovely flowers which filled the air with fragrance. Everything was tastefully and gloriously arranged. These were to be the food of the holy pair as He had designed. There were lovely vines growing upright, laden with fruits unseen after the fall of Adam and Eve. The fruits were big and in a variety of colors, some soft red, dark red, soft green, and so on. It was the work of Adam and Eve to train the branches of the vine to form bowers, thus making for themselves a dwelling from living trees covered with foliage and fruit. There were fragrant flowers of every hue in rich profusion. In the midst of the garden stood the tree of life, surpassing in glory all the other trees. For all of you who are living on this earth after the flood, you should be thankful every time you eat any fruit. During the flood, all the beautiful paradise became overturned and it went underground. And all the things which are underground came out. And so you have deserts and swamps here and there. That's why all those beautiful fruit trees which our daddy had planted for us all disappeared. And right now we should be only eating grass. But how is it that we were able to eat fruits? Our daddy, still, he thought about us and knew that if he got rid of all those fruit trees, we would have nothing to eat. So he hid those fruit trees and he gave them to us again. Everything was destroyed, and yet we have so many fruits on this earth. And the reason is because our real daddy does not want us to just eat grass, but he wants us to eat delicious fruits. It's our daddy's special love. So we who are living after the flood, every time we eat fruit, it's written that we should be especially thankful to him. So even after the flood, there are so many different kinds of fruits and vegetables. And then we can imagine what it was like before the flood. How many fruit trees do you think there were there? Countless number. Black, yellow, white, red, green, pink. Thousands of different kinds of fruits. Then, why did he make so many different fruits? It's because he loves each one of you. You know, real parents, no matter how many children they have, they love each child as if they're the only child. Just because there are 10 children, the parents say, you know, there's so many of you, I can't love each one of you, so I will love all of you as a group. Are there any parents like that? Even if there's 10 or 12 children, the parents know what each child likes. He likes the sour apples. He likes grapes. He likes bread. He likes oranges. He likes that kind of color. She likes that kind of color. She likes those kind of shoes. He likes those kind of shoes. The parents know each one of those children and loves each one of them individually. In the same way, he does not think of 5 or 6 billion people living on this earth, but he thinks of you as the only one, and he loves you and takes care of you as if you're the only one. And no matter how much parents say they love their children, are there any parents who know how many hairs are on the head of that child? But our real Father knows even the numbers of the hair in our head. Our real Father does not lie. Then if he is the kind of God that they teach of in the world, God should just make one big tree right in the middle of the earth and say, if you want to eat it, eat it. If you don't, don't. But instead, because he has such a wonderful love for us, and he knows what each one of us like to eat, he made all kinds of different trees. And every time he plants those trees, he says, oh, that daughter, that son, that daughter, when she eats this fruit, how happy she will be. When he eats this fruit, how happy he will be. And he thought of each one of us when he was planting all those trees. What a wonderful Father we have. And to the ends of the earth, it was all these beautiful plants and trees. And this beautiful pair, this heavenly prince and princess, they never became tired. And they would walk and they say, oh, should we try this fruit? You know, the fruits on this earth, they rot after it becomes ripe. But in our original home, the fruits never became rotten because there was no death. So even once it becomes ripe, it just waits for it to be picked. And there's so much fruit, it touches the ground. The tree is so heavy. So they say, the pair walks and says, let's try this. And they will eat the fruit together, and they'll roll around together, and they will laugh and have fun. And after a while, they will lie down. They say, "Here, let's eat this." And while lying down, they will pick fruits. "Here, eat this, eat this." And the two loving couple will feed one another. And this is our food. And even nowadays, women say, "Oh, you know, winter, when it's so cold, I don't really want to make breakfast. But after we eat, I don't want to do the dishes." But please, do not worry. We'll be going to a country where there's no more dishwashing. There's no laundry, no more dishwashing. How bothersome it is to wash pots and dishes. You know, I also washed the pot last time. It really hurt my arm. So, because they were busy, I also washed the pot. And because it wouldn't even wash, I took it over to the creek and cleaned it there. We will not do that ever again. We will not do laundry. We will not do dishwashing. So, that's the country we will all be going to. You know what's dishwashing? All we do is eat the fruit and throw away the core. So I hope that you will go to that kind of place and live together in happiness. Let's not live like foolish people on this dirty earth.